Hello, welcome to the VickyCharles.com podcast. My name is Vicky Charles, and today in episode number 38 we're going to be talking about Twitter polls and how you can use them. So let's get on with it. So welcome to episode number 38 of the VickyCharles.com podcast about Twitter polls and how you can use them. Just to let you know, the show notes from this and all previous podcasts can be found at VickyCharles.com/podcast. And now on with the show. So Twitter polls are a new feature. They were announced on October the 21st and they're rolling out across iOS and Android. I noticed it that they rolled out to me. I'm an Android user, and I think last week sometime I realised that the polling option was there, but so hopefully everybody's got it now, because iOS usually get everything before Android, don't they? So hopefully we've all got it. Just one quick note: when you're doing a poll, as far as I can see, you can't do it online at all, or on the internet, on the website, or on TweetDeck or anything like that. I can only see it through the apps on mobiles, or iPads, what have you. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means you just have to use your mobile to create your poll. Previously, if you wanted to poll your audience about something and collate responses, what you would do is ask the question, wait for some tweets to come in, and then kind of collate the responses yourself. Get a pad and paper and write, oh, that one says yes, that one says no. Or you'd have to say, retweet if you agree with me, and hope that people will retweet you. Either way, it wasn't a very scientific way of doing things. So now they've brought in this poll option. You can create a poll through your Twitter app. It's really easy. All you do is you go as if you're going to write a tweet, and there's an option there for create a poll. It's just at the bottom. When you're writing your tweet, and at the bottom there are the little buttons for adding a picture and what have you. One of those is for a poll. And then you create your poll. You can have two answer choices. Your poll then stays live for 24 hours. And during that time, the way that people vote is not shared publicly. So that can work quite well. If you're asking a political question, for example, a lot of people don't like to discuss who they voted for. And if it's not going to be public knowledge, it's not going to be publicly shared, then people are probably more likely to join in with it. So what would you use a poll for? Why would you want to have a poll? Why would you want to use one on your Twitter feed? Here are 5 ways that you could use a Twitter poll to get your audience more engaged. The first one is to ask for your audience's opinion on your new logo or colour combination. If you're redesigning your website, you've got a new logo, you've got an option of 2 logos, anything like that where you're asking their opinion on something that's actually going to make a difference. So do you think red and blue, or do you think red and green? People really love to be involved in the design process of a website that they follow, that they're interested in. People love that aspect of it. They love to think that their opinion matters, to feel like you actually care what they think. And they love, to then go to the site and see that, oh, I chose red and green and she's put red and green up. That's fantastic. They love all that side of things, and I think it's a really great way to get your audience involved. And also, it does, at the end of the day, help you to make the decision, and hopefully help you to make the right decision, because if you go with what the majority of people like, then more people are going to be happy with you, I suppose. Because you've only got the 2 options, you kind of do have to go this one, or this colour, and be quite specific about it. You can't just go, what colour should I use for this? Because then, if you're going to do that on Facebook, and then you get 50 million responses of every possible colour combination, and you'll be no better off, but at least you'll have all the different options. So a Twitter poll, in that instance, a Twitter poll is really for when you've already almost made up your mind and you just want a final decision on 1 or 2 options. A second way to use a Twitter poll for your blog is to do content research for a blog post. So, have you ever blah blah blah, or would you ever, or do you? So, for example, if I'm writing a blog post about tax credits, I always write lots of blog posts about tax credits. I would say, do you claim tax credits, yes or no? Or do you think George Osborne should be strung up for his ridiculous idea about cutting tax credits, yes or no? Things like that. Have you ever blah blah blah, or when was the last time you da da da? When was the last time you're going to have to say, a week ago or a year ago, or within the last week or not within the last week? It's going to need to be something very specific, because there are only the 2 options. You need to remember that. But it's a good way of, again, your audience likes to feel like they're involved. They like to feel like you're paying attention to what they have to say, and that it's not just a one-way street. None of this is a one-way street anymore. But also, previously you could ask on Facebook, have you ever blah blah blah, or would you ever, or did you ever, or do you? And you would never ever get a choice between 2 answers. So if you're writing a blog post and you want to say 58% of my audience think blah blah blah, that's really difficult to get on Facebook, because whenever you put up a question, I mean, you can do polls on Facebook, but they're not quite the same. Whenever you put up a question, you always get like, well, there was that time that my auntie, da, 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 or then my dog, da, 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 da. And you always get one person who's really angry about something, and they're like, wow, blah, 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 blah. None of that's very useful. If you're just trying to collate quick responses, yes or no, I think this, I don't think that, blah, blah. With the new Twitter poll option, you can ask a question, get a set response within 24 hours, then it's closed, it's over and done with, and you've got the response you need. 28% of my audience think blah, blah, blah. So option number 3 for using Twitter polls is to engage your audience around a news or TV or sport event. So did you watch the Grand Prix yesterday? Or who do you think is going to win Wimbledon? Something like that. Did you like the new soap character? Who do you think killed so-and-so? Obviously, because you've only got 2 options there, yes or no, or, you know, who do you think killed them? You're going to have to give them 2 options. Do you agree with this politician, that politician? Do you think, you know, anything that's been in the news lately, you can kind of move that around and create a poll around it. Don't just do it randomly if it's not, you know, I would never do something about the Rugby World Cup because I had literally no awareness at all that it was even going on, apart from announcements in train stations. So I wouldn't ever do a poll about the Rugby World Cup, because I presume then that none of my followers are really... Then it's not that they're not following it, it's that they're not expecting it from me. They're not expecting me to suddenly become like a rugby pundit or a football pundit, because they know that I don't ever talk about that. So kind of choose your topic related to what you normally post about. The 4th option for using a Twitter poll is, I love this idea, is to close out a Twitter chat. So normally, I've been to Twitter chats before where you chat for an hour, on and on and on and on about everything, and then at the end, it's just... like 500 more tweets with everybody saying thanks for coming, thanks a lot, bye, and that just gets, because you keep getting the notifications, or it keeps turning up, and you're like, yeah, bye, you know, I've said goodbye now, you said thank you to me for coming, I don't need to keep hearing it, but the person running the Twitter chat has to tell everybody goodbye. They have to be polite to everybody, or they feel they do. Most of us, I don't think I particularly care whether you thank me for joining in, but you know, things like that. So instead of like endless, oh, good night, you know, good night, John Boy, good night, Harry Melons, you can do things like say, did you enjoy it? Will you come back next week? Or should next week's topic, should we have this or this? Do you think next week we should do this or do this? And again, it's getting your audience involved. It's getting people involved in what you're doing. It's allowing the attendees of your Twitter party to feel like you actually care what they think, and that you're not just kind of setting these arbitrary rules. Some people have like a real power trip over like, no, I run this Twitter thing and this is what we're doing and that's that, which is fine. But sometimes that can turn people off a bit, and they think, well, you know, I don't want to abide by your rules. So kind of bringing people in and showing them, you know, I'm not just a dictator, I'm just coming up with ideas, and you can come up with ideas too, and give them that option of, what do you think we should do next week? Should we do this? Should we do that? Perhaps I should move this hour to this day or that day. Things like that to get, you know, again, get people involved, get them talking, make them feel like you care what they think and that their input is important to you. The 5th and final point for things you can do with a Twitter poll is to gauge your reach. If you've launched a new product or giveaway, or if you've, you know, done something, or did you... So I had a radio show that went out yesterday afternoon, so my question would be, did you hear my new radio show? What did you think? Good, bad? Maybe not good, bad, because I can't really cope with criticism at the moment. But, you know, ask if people heard about it, what they thought about it, positive, negative. Did you see my new logo? Yes, no. Have you noticed I've had a rebrand on my website? Did you see this ridiculous conversation on Facebook yesterday? Have you seen our new product lineup? Have you seen what we've launched for Christmas? All of these things you can pull in. And as well as then asking, people love to answer polls, you're kind of also gauging how far you reached. So if you get 500 responses and 400 of them are no's, then you know you probably need to do better, because your Twitter poll reached more than whatever your product launch was. So those were my 5 ways to use a Twitter poll to engage your audience. Have you used Twitter polls yet? I'd love to hear what you think, if you've used them, if you've had positive or negative experience with them. I'd also love to hear what you think about this podcast, purely because I'm recording it in yet another different way this week, and I'm not sure how I feel about the sound quality. So if you feel like it's been better or worse, or, you know, you hadn't listened to it because it's awful, not the sound of my voice, I can't change that, but any other aspect of it, do please leave me some feedback. You can find the show notes for this and previous podcasts at vickycharles.com/podcast. you can find the current episode on either of my Facebook pages, so facebook.com/VickyCharlesWriter or facebook.com/SingleMotherAhoy. You can find me on Twitter at VickyCWrites. And if you would like to join my mailing list and get exclusive updates and content, I would love for you to join in. You can text your email address to 51772 and start your message with VC42. So all you do is text, so you open up a text and you send it to 51772, and your message should be VC42 followed by your email address, and then I will add you to my mailing list and you will get a confirmation email to say that you've been added. How exciting is that? I'm really working on my email list at the moment because I've got lots of exciting things in the pipeline and I want to be able to tell everybody about them. So I'd love for everybody to join in with that. And also I'd like feedback. I love feedback on these things. If you think my emails are brilliant or a waste of your time or you don't even get them or, whatever, just join in and let me know. You can find my podcast. You can subscribe through Podcast Addict or Stitcher Radio, or you can go directly to Spreaker if you use that. That's where it's hosted. I'd love if you would leave me a review on one of those platforms to let more people know about it. That basically, if you leave a review, more people are likely to come and join in, which is what I want people to do. And again, you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/VickyCharlesWriter, or on Twitter at VickyCWrites. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back next week.